Danny Sheehan has just confirmed the alien retention program at Area 51, specifically S4. He confirms an alien interview in seemingly a broader program of capturing these beings from retrieved craft and holding them captive at Area 51. So let's talk about this. Get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Yeah, this is from an interview on Spotify with Stephen Diner at UAP Podcast, and I'll just let Danny tell it in his own words.
I do believe that we have taken into custody, more than one live ET person, and be interviewing them. I've talked to people directly who've been present during the interview of one of these extraterrestrial beings, wow. and I find that to be extremely credible. But this Valiant Thor thing, I'm not convinced about that at all yet.
What kind of extraterrestrial was that in the interview? Are we talking a gray or?
He was a tall gray or tall white. He was like almost 6 feet tall, big head, big almond eyes, etc., and communicating telepathically to the commander of the special unit of Project Blue Book that was handling the 70 classified sightings for Blue Book.
Can we say where and when that was?
It was at S4, and it was sometime before 1967. Project Blue Book was still operational because the fellow who was the source of this for me was a clerk typist in the Project Blue Book who went with his commander to the S4 site because his commander was engaging in the interview of that extraterrestrial being.
What ended up happening to the ET?
He didn't know.
Okay, so that is just super fascinating. First of all, that Blue Book was conducting alien interviews. But of course, we know that they did hold back the juiciest stuff for themselves. That's been reported numerous times. But this seems to confirm the existence of the alien retention program. It's interesting that he mentions tall grays or tall whites, as if the alien in that particular alien interview could have been a tall white. Now, our best information about the tall whites comes from Charles Hall, who talked about a group of independent, autonomous beings present at Area 51. They weren't captives. They weren't recovered from crashes. They were aliens working with the humans there to the extent that they did. I don't know if they look quite like that, but that would have been nice. But this seems to confirm a lot of Jon Stewart's information about this alien interview conducted in the 90s. So this is just incredible that so much of Danny's information lines up exactly with Jon Stewart's information. I've interviewed him on the channel multiple times. He has gone over a lot of his research on this channel. He's also put together an amazing documentary, Hunting for Victor. And so I highly encourage you going to check that out, where he goes through his evidence, suggesting that this alien interview, this famous footage, is actually legit. And he has a lot of details about it that he has gathered through his extensive research. His research has even convinced Richard Dolan, of all people, that this video is real, coupled with a remote viewing from the Future Forecasting group that Richard Dolan sat in on, or at least sat in on the debriefing of that. So in the remote viewing, confirmed the legitimacy of this footage and of this being a genuinely living being at the time of this video. Sadly, during the interview, it goes into distress, and apparently it shortly died afterward. It's actually hard to watch, especially knowing that this being is most likely a living being. So Danny is saying that this alien retention program was at least in existence in the 60s, if not before. Maybe they have had beings there for a long time. I think that the one he was talking about, if it was in the retention program, was probably not a tall white. It was probably a gray or a tall gray, much like this gentleman right here, this fellow. But these beings have been there for a long time. And it seems like some of them are working perhaps willingly with the control group. But some of them are captive, like this fellow. And here he starts to go into distress, and it's very difficult to watch. If you're curious why it's so dark, and if you think that's suspicious, the production company that this footage was leaked to applied a filter to it. It's originally more of a bluish color, where you can see a lot more detail, apparently. But they applied their filter to it. It was leaked by Victor, the pseudonymous Victor, to this production company. And they made a documentary about it. John has talked extensively about the circumstances around that. Here the doctors come in as this poor thing seems to be gasping for air or something. I don't even know if it breathes like we do. But okay, so let's it's just heartbreaking to watch because that being is about to die. But Bill Uhouse has been talking about aliens at Area 51 since the 50s. Specifically, Bill Uhouse, who is an engineer, mechanical engineer who worked with a being named JRod, says the beings were helping the control group, the UFO control group, develop technology as early as the 50s. This is corroborated by people like Don Phillips, engineer at Lockheed Martin, and others. What does Bill Uhouse say? Well, he talks about JRod and how the beings, because JRod wasn't the only one, there were a few others, how they were working with the control group developing this technology.
We did. And it was about 3 or 4 years after we had gotten there that we found out that these were simulators that we would be engineers on simulators for flying discs. There was one particular project they worked on associated with that disc was several years, of course. It's very time consuming in the translation of scientific data as provided to us by the Greys.
Yeah, and JRod was the scientific translator who was helping with all of this. Bill gives us a little bit more details here.
Yeah, it was confusing to me for many years, since I didn't know what the heck I was working on. But after a while, it became apparent, that what we were doing was a little bit different than what we normally do on this earth with our sciences. It was scientists from somewhere else. This JRod fella, he was a science translator. We had these big groups of people that were taking information, all these characters and symbols and so forth and so on. Gotcha. And he was assisting those people, but also he did some other things. Okay, although we didn't see him very often. Maybe I saw this gentleman maybe about once in a year that he'd come in. Now whether it was him, I don't know, but looked the same to me. I didn't say, "Hey JRod, how are you?" There was none of that stuff.
Again, that would have been nice. Here he is describing JRod. There's music playing in the background, so I'm just going to read it. His skin was pinkish, but a little rough. And that kind of stuff. Not horrible looking. So that's good. He wasn't horrible looking. It had a pinkish, rough skin. And if that picture is accurate at all, it looks very much like a, typical gray type alien, similar to the one in this alien interview, although without the elongated head, which is interesting. Usually the grays have more elongated heads. So it's interesting that he was a little bit more humanoid, possibly. Now, people have remote viewed Area 51, of course, over the years, such as Dad Smith and Dick Allgaier, and of course others. I had Anita O'Conan on this channel talking about her own remote viewing. But here's Daz giving his summation of his remote viewing.
Summary again. Remote location, housing some kind of underground covert, camouflaged, secret, highly secure facility, which is embedded in the ground, built out of an existing cave system which has been extended, multi-leveled, at least 10 levels underground, very complex, very deep, very technical, very secure. Research, back engineering, science, stroke military facility.
Now, Daz wasn't seeing any aliens specifically, but he was aware of the presence of a reverse engineering program, likely from alien technology. And he was seeing this essentially this deep underground military base under Area 51. And Dick Algire's remote viewing backs that up, as have others over the years. But Daz says this is a 10-level structure going down under Area 51. It's unclear to me if he was able to remote view S4, where the alien retention program is or was, or if he was specifically remote viewing the main facility at Papoose Lake. So really, really fascinating stuff, guys. I love it. So Danny Sheehan confirming the existence of an alien retention program at Area 51. They've had beings there for years, for decades, possibly since Roswell, if not before. We don't know how long they have been doing this. I harp on this, but the Men in Black were in place carrying out the typical Men in Black stuff at Roswell. Roswell was not their first rodeo. Neither, I think, was the Mussolini UFO acquired at the end of World War II. But yeah, the Men in Black were going to Roswell, shutting everybody up, threatening people into silence, the way they have always done. So yeah, the control group, the Men in Black were in place. They had their methods and their MO on how to proceed and contain this information at Roswell. How long have they been doing this? How long has the control group how long have they been keeping this secret? How long have they been holding aliens hostage at Area 51? Now, it's interesting that some of these beings were seeming to work willingly with the control group, like JRod. Some of them may have been more forcefully compelled to work with the control group. And some of them, like the Tall Whites, as reported by Charles Hall, were completely autonomous. Just doing their own thing, just an alien civilization, working at least a little bit with the humans of Area 51. Anyway, now we have Danny Sheehan confirming this amazing information. So let me know what you think about it all in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Love to see you guys there. If you want to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, or by becoming a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really do appreciate your support. Thank you. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.